Hey everybody! Today let's paint this ocean sunset. We're going to start off by mixing our colors first. We've got violet, magenta, yellow, and orange. And then you can use any type of blue, but I use cobalt blue and then I use Payne's gray. The supplies that we'll be using today will be Arches watercolor paper, any type of flat brush, a size 2 round brush, a size 10 round brush, and some washi tape. If you happen to be new here and you want to improve your watercolor skills, consider subscribing to my channel so you don't ever miss a tutorial. So once you start, you're going to put your washi tape around the border of your paper. Then you're going to take your flat brush and you're going to wet the paper from the horizon line all the way to the top. You're going to want to make sure that you don't have it too wet so you don't have puddling of water, but you want it to be wet enough where there's no dry spots. The top of the paper is going to be the closest to you, so it's going to be the darkest, and then down by the horizon line it's going to be the furthest away, and it's going to be the lightest color. So you're going to work from purple all the way down to yellow. I like to put a little bit of Payne's gray at the top so that it gives it a little bit more depth than the purple does. While your paper is still wet, you're going to want to get the paper towel and bunch it up to blot up the paint anywhere where you'd want a cloud to be. The clouds up at the top of the paper are going to be the biggest, and then you're going to slowly work your way down to smaller, thinner lines at the horizon. Just don't forget to blot up a spot in the middle for the sun. When you start forming your clouds, you're going to go in with the color that the cloud is sitting on, and you're going to put that at the top of the cloud and then slowly fade it out to the bottom, but being sure that you preserve that white space on the bottom for the highlight. When you start on the ocean, you want to make sure that your sky is completely dry before you start laying down any water. You don't want it to bleed into your water. Then while your paper is wet, you're going to go in and add your blue around the edges and the bottom of your paper. And you want to preserve as much white area in the middle for the reflection of the sky. You're going to want to kind of work quickly with this just so your paper doesn't dry and you get a good bleed between the colors. And as you'll notice, I'm working kind of in a triangular shape with the yellow being almost all the way across the page, and then as I get up to purple, it's not as wide and there's not as much color. Now we're going to start working on the mountains in the background, but you want to make sure that your paper is completely dry by this step. And I added a little bit of brown to my Payne's gray for this step just because I didn't want it blue. I wanted it a kind of brown color. And this first mountain off in the distance is going to be the lightest one. And then as we work towards the mountain that's closest to us, we'll get darker. And that's when I start adding just Payne's gray to the paper for this mountain in the foreground. After I got done adding in that mountain to the foreground, I did go in with the tip of my brush and kind of just push the paint up just a little bit to add a little bit more details of like trees on the mountain. Then at this point in the painting, we're just focusing on layering up our colors to add more shadows and more color to our painting. I didn't realize it, but I did mess up right here. I added the boat a little bit too early. So when I started to add more layers of paint on the water, I realized very quickly how hard it was to work around that boat. I should have waited until the end. So my suggestion would be build up your colors on your water first and then add your boat last. Now while that bottom section is drying, you're going to add more layers of paint to your clouds, and you want to make sure that you're blending out those lines towards the bottom so that you don't have these harsh lines and your clouds look a little bit softer and fluffier. Then once your bottom section is completely dry, that's when you're going to go in and you're going to start adding more details of a ripply surface to the water. And right there is when I realized I messed up for adding the boat too soon. And my boat was still wet too, so it bled out into my water. But I got it mopped up and fixed, so it wasn't too bad. I decided to go in with one last layer to kind of build up the shadows on the mountain and the boat and build up the colors in the sky a little bit more. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, comment down below your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe, and when you do, hit that bell for notifications so you don't ever miss a tutorial from me. See y'all next time.